Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another new episode of VCTV. So basically, this new topic, this new episode is meant for startups who have tokens, new tokens in the market, are meant for crypto exchanges, market making professionals, and people who work with crypto. Generally speaking, it's called market making insights. And to deliver the insights, we have a special guest. Before I introduce her to the audience today, I just want to give you a little bit sort of background of why we are having, and also introduce myself. So my name is Sunny Mohanty. I'm the regional director of Our Token, based here in Singapore. And I just want to put you on mute. So based in Singapore, I regularly host VCTV shows. And today we have just because of the demand from our customers, we decided to have this topic about market making and liquidity. So to give you an idea of why we are going to host this episode, and this is not going to be the first and the last episode. We're going to have a series of episodes every Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. Singapore time and 9:30 a.m. UK time. So many token companies raised a substantial amount of capital during the last 2 years. Unfortunately, many of them face the following challenges: lack of liquidity. So investors and project founders could not monetize their investment due to lack of liquidity in their token, low trading volumes. Traders and investors are not incentivized to trade the token because of high transaction costs due to market impact, price manipulation. That's another factor as well. Okay, and so what is price manipulation? Low liquidity makes it easier for bad actors to manipulate the price of the token. Okay, and then there's low interest in the token project itself. Difficulty in liquidating positions makes investors less likely to invest in a token project as well. So these are some of the factors which led us to host this series of host this topic in general, to discuss about how to perform market making on tokens to make them more liquid and help the founders of the projects. So today we have a special guest, and I'm very excited. She's she's a great person. Besides being a speaker on the show, and I'm very happy to have her. Let's have a quick round of intro of our guest speaker. Here I introduce Meenu Sareen. Hi, Meenu.
Hi, Sunny, and thanks for the very warm welcome. And I'm really it's a pleasure to be on board, and thank you for that invite.
Okay, Meenu. So what do you do? I mean, can we have a quick, sort of background about yourself, your work? Because I see you have on your title, Blockchain Hustle Podcast. Are you podcast?
Yeah. So actually, that Blockchain Hustle podcast is a podcast which I started over a year and a half back. And I have around over, I guess, 50 odd podcast episodes under that. And so, yes, as far as my introduction, I am a technology evangelist. And over the period of time, over the last few years, what I've realized that one of my strengths, it is to take very complex topics and distill them into small bites which can be easily comprehended.
Right.
And it, of course, takes a little bit of time for that realization to occur, right?
Yes.
So I've been able to translate this strength into mainly two services under my professional portfolio. I have a company called VLSI Consultancy, under which I operate. So the two key professional services which come under this are, the first one is doing qualitative market research and analysis in the technology space. So the technology as well as the market. And the second one is to evangelize on the technology and to build up the ecosystem, the community along with it. So those are the two main things which kind of directly translate from this thing. And the domains that I cover, they span from semiconductors to deep learning, robotics, and now blockchain.
Right.
And I entered into blockchain a few years back when I started working with this exciting hybrid blockchain company.
Yeah.
And I helped them to develop the ecosystem for their new token. And
Right.
that is when I got hooked onto blockchain. And after that, I started my own podcast, and the story rolls on like that. So,
Uh,
yes, I'm pretty excited to be on board.
oh wow, very very interesting, Minu. Because your journey started from semiconductors, deep tech, robotics, and now blockchain. I've been following your podcast as well. You do share insights on NFTs besides talking
Hmm.
about market making and liquidity for the
Hmm.
tokens. So
Yeah, yeah, yep.
so, yeah, again, thank you so much for taking your time out
Hmm.
and joining me on the show. Today's topic is, as you know, market making insights. So, you've
Yeah.
already sort of given many tutorials on this topic, which I've seen
Mhm.
on your portfolio. So let's have a little bit of perspective, like why are we why are we discussing this topic and how relevant and
Yeah.
important it is for a token owner, project owner, and crypto exchanges.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very correct point that you have started with. And I was kind of mulling over it when you came up with this initiative, when you first approached me, which was a very good thing that you did, Sunny.
Yeah,
Uh, as you very rightly pointed out in the beginning of the show, the challenges that you have seen that, the crypto token guys, the exchanges, etc., the investors,
yeah,
they talk about the value of the token, their money is not being capitalized or monetized properly and stuff like that. So there are a lot of challenges. So actually, market making is it's a very key factor. It's an important cog in the movement towards an efficient trading market.
right.
And this market making aspect, it creates a lot of benefits for all the stakeholders of your blockchain token ecosystem. So
Right.
whether it is your token holder, it is your the token issuer, the blockchain project guys,
Yeah,
or it is the exchanges like yourself or the
yeah,
investors, right? So
yeah,
everybody who is involved in this ecosystem, it creates a lot of benefits to that. So it's a very important topic. And but how do we go about it, etc.? So it's a very long one, and that's why we're talking about covering it over a series of episodes rather than in one.
yeah.
And so what we can do, we can start with is in today's episode, let's start with what are efficient markets and
Yes,
what is liquidity. Okay, so
yes,
if that's fine, we can set the ball rolling.
yes, absolutely, Minu. I just wanted to start with this question with you. So, can you shed some light on what are efficient markets?
Okay, sure. So let's take the significance of an efficient trading market from different perspectives. Let's say from a token holder. Okay. So, Sunny, do you trade?
Yes,
You
some
do.
yes, yeah,
Sometimes. Okay. So, as a trader, as a regular retail trader, for example,
yeah.
what are the things that you look for? What for you would be a very utopian and an efficient trading market?
So for me, I will look for a token
Hmm.
which is more liquid
Hmm.
and obviously has a big presence in. So obviously, I look at the rankings also. Like
Okay.
we have coin market cap rankings.
Yeah.
So a top token basically to invest in. If I were to invest in a token which is
Hmm.
making news and trending, then these are some of the parameters I look at.
Okay, great, great. That's a good point. Yeah, I think because as a trader, I also dabble a little bit. But
Okay.
as a trader, what I'm looking at is, first of all, is a very exciting project, right? It should
Right.
excite me. That's one. The second one is it should be a very efficient trading market. And when I say an efficient trading market from a trader's perspective, my first point would be that I should have access to a large number of token pairs, right? So it should not be limited to, let's say, just a couple Bitcoin, Ether, or X, Y, and Z, right?
Yeah.
I should have access to a large number of these token pairs that I can
Right.
trade.
Okay.
And these guys, these token pairs, sorry, they should be made available to me. I should have access to them across a number of venues, platforms, exchanges. My
Right.
choice should not be limited to, say, just one particular platform, because that token pair is listed only in that exchange, right?
Right. Yeah.
So that's the first one.
Okay.
So the second one I would put across as what I would like as a trader is that I want my trading to be frictionless. Okay,
Right. Yeah.
and when I say frictionless, I'm not talking about having a very fancy user interface, which
Yeah.
is important. But
Yeah.
what for me is more important is that my trading should be frictionless. It should
Right.
be easy for me to enter and exit my position, right?
Yeah.
And that's one. And then the second thing is the trading cost, whether they are the direct cost or the indirect cost,
Right.
they should not be so high, right? Because that's going to deter me as a trader.
Yes.
So, first is the access to the tokens. The second one is the frictionless
Yeah.
trading process.
Yeah.
The third one for me is that there should not be there should not be any volatility. So you should not have very, drastic price swings across the token prices. So you
Yeah.
see lately what has happened to Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
So over the last couple of months or so, it's gone from maybe 60, 64
Yeah.
down to 28, right?
Yeah.
And now maybe stabilizing a bit. But one tweet and the whole market goes haywire. So I don't
Absolutely.
want any volatility in the tokens that I'm trading, which have a little bit of a stability.
Yeah.
And all this is like leading to very tight spreads and also to a very deep order book volume. So these are some of the things that I would look for, along
Right.
with whatever you have mentioned as what does an efficient market mean for me as a trader.
Right. I think we do. I totally agree with whatever points you've just discussed. I think so. Just to sorry, my bad. Just to
No.
elaborate on the first. Just to elaborate on the first point you mentioned about the trading pairs, the token.
Hmm.
So, do you think, as a trader, is
Hmm.
it important? Is it important to see if a token is listed against more trading pairs? For example, our exchange logic, and we have USDT, ETH, BTC, our native token,
Hmm.
Trump, US. So does that really attract a trader when they see a token listed against many pairs?
I would say it's not just the quantity. I would also say, like, if I were to trade, right, I would say that there should be some pair which is with a stable coin so that at least I have some amount of a reference point which is stable. And the second one is that I would not be really looking into the pair in which it's the pairing is done with n number of tokens and tokens which I haven't heard of or something. For me, the relevance also which counts. So it's a
Right.
combination of the number and the relevance.
Okay. Okay. That got it. I got the point. I got the logic. So you just
Yeah.
mentioned about order book and spread. So can you explain in like simple terms, like so that anybody, as children, can also understand
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you're able to make it understandable in that sense? What is
yeah,
spread?
yeah, yeah.
What's
And
order book?
thanks, Sunny, for pointing it out because we just get into the jargon and we don't kind of really put it across that the audience may not be, we have a different or a varied audience, right?
Yeah.
Everybody from the high to the low. So yes, so when I talk about, let's say, the spread, okay, spread is it's the difference between the highest bid and the lowest ask. That's a technical thing, but what does it mean, right?
Yeah.
Let's say I have on my exchange for a particular token, the highest price which a person is willing to buy at is, let's say, $8.
Right.
Okay, $8.
Yeah.
And the lowest price that any of the sellers who are there at the market,
Yeah.
the lowest price that they are willing to sell the token is, let's say, $20, right?
Okay.
So between $8 and $20, there's a big, huge gap, right?
Huge. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when there's a gap, it's very difficult to reconcile this gap and the trade would not effectively happen. People
Right.
would keep waiting, right?
Okay.
So if I have, let's say, my maximum price is, let's say, I can pay $8 and the lowest selling one is $10, it's still okay.
Yeah.
So this difference between $8 and $10 or $8 and $20 is what we call it as a spread. So
Right.
the smaller the spread is what we call the tighter spread,
Yeah.
the more liquid the market is. So
Uh,
that's what we are talking about spread.
okay.
Okay.
Right. So,
And the,
sorry.
yeah, sorry.
Carry on. Carry on. Carry on. Carry on.
Okay. So the other part you had asked me was about the order book, right?
Yeah.
So order book is nothing but it's a collection of all the asks and the bids. That is the buy orders and the sell orders. The present, all the open orders currently in the market, they're all put together into what we call it as a order book.
Right.
And for any trade to happen, you need to have a matching between the two. So that's what an order book is.
Yes. So for a token to be really liquid, it's very important for their spreads to be tight, as you rightly said.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, how can they engage a market maker? So basically, let me just take a step back. So who are the traditional market makers in the forex world? When you talk about a cryptocurrency, which is crypto world, so we can
yeah, yeah,
do like comparison. And what
yeah.
kind of educational or background do they come from? What kind of
Hmm.
experience they have? So who is a market
Hmm.
maker?
So market makers, and that is what I would was planning to cover in the next episode, but I'll just quickly tell you a bit on that. So
Right.
market makers are the guys who provide liquidity into your exchange, into the market, or for that particular token pair. Okay.
Right.
So they're also called the liquidity providers.
Right.
So these are the guys who understand the market. They understand the operations of the order book and they do a technical analysis and they go about various by various means, right? Algorithms and so forth, and different ways by which what they do is they inject liquidity, they tighten the spread, and they improve your order book depth. And when
Right.
I talk about what is an order book depth, it is if you look at any order book, right, Sunny, on an exchange,
Yeah.
you will see that you have two sections. One is on the buy and one is on the sell, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
And so in each one of them, you'll have the price level
Yeah.
and the number of, let's say, tokens that one is buying or selling.
Yeah.
Each one of them is the price level. And if you have a very deep order book, it means you have a number of these levels. So we
Right.
call it as the order book volume. So what
Yes.
these market makers do is one is that they decrease the spread, they tighten it. And the other one is that they help to make your order book volume very deep.
Right.
So that's how they go about it. And there are a number, some of the market makers, if I can take the names, is like GSR, Algos, and a few more. So, and they
Okay.
do it through various means, manual, and then there's an automated one, what we call as the AMMs, the automated market makers.
So, if I understand from you correctly, Minu, so for a token project owner and from an investor who's actually invested into that token, so a
Hmm.
market maker plays a very important role,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Yeah. So a market maker plays a very important role for the complete token project, I would say.
Right.
So let's say if I am a token issuer, I have a blockchain project and I have a token associated with it, right?
Yeah.
So what would be my first thing to do with it? It is to spur the adoption of my token, right? Nobody knows my token.
Yeah.
So the first thing, my main criteria is to spur the adoption. And how do I go about it?
Yeah.
It would be that what I need to do is I should make it very easy that all my potential token adopters, they should
Yeah.
have easy access to my token, right?
Yeah.
If my token is available only in one exchange, for example, or it is not paired with the current one which these guys want, then it's an issue for me, right? It's not going to spur adoption.
Yeah.
So one is that I need to have the token accessible to these guys, my potential token adopters. The other thing that I need to do here is that I need to list it at various exchanges, right? Now, the problem for me as a token issuer comes that if I go to a big exchange, okay, the big exchanges will have a lot of listing money, right? Because
Yeah.
there's a considerable amount of cost which is required to set up a token.
Absolutely.
And exchange guys, like you very well know, they're
Yeah.
looking for the tokens, they will list only those tokens which have a high liquidity, correct?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
a new token guy is perplexed, right? He doesn't know where to go with his token. He doesn't have the liquidity, but he wants
Yeah.
to go to a big exchange. If
Yeah.
he opts for a smaller exchange, he doesn't have much of an access, right?
Mhm.
So it's like something he's caught in a kind of a bind. And at this stage, so in the whole life cycle of the project, the token issuer, the blockchain project guy, he does require market making. But it is all the more important in the beginning phase, in the initial phase, when he is like trying to spur up the adoption.
Right.
Plus, also, if I'm a token issuer, I would like to see that my token is the price is held stable. Because if it goes volatile,
Yeah.
or let's say if there is one big order which comes in, buy or a sell,
Yeah.
and the whole holding is wiped out from one
Yeah.
particular exchange where I have it, it's going to be a big problem, right? So
Right.
I do not want that kind of issue with this, the market changing for me. I don't want that kind of a problem in my token. So
Right.
as a token issuer, I do need this liquidity into the for my token in
Yeah.
the market.
Right. Got it. Got it, Minu. So you mentioned liquidity a few times already. What is exactly liquidity?
I was thinking you're going to ask me that question, Sunny. But yeah, good that you asked me.
Yeah.
So, Sunny, I would say that liquidity is basically how easy or difficult is to buy and sell your asset. Okay.
Right.
So I would say fiat currencies, right? Fiat currencies are very easy. They are very liquid because it's easy to exchange, to buy and sell. You
Yeah.
have Singapore dollar, you exchange it for a US dollar, a euro, pound, and so forth, right? It's
Yeah.
pretty simple.
Yeah.
But if you do have, let's say, an expensive painting, or you have a house that you would like to sell, right?
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
that liquid. Well, you can sell a house, for
Yeah. But
example.
not
You
as
do a
easy
fire
as. Yeah.
yeah, you can
Yeah.
do a fire sale, but you're not getting a fair value, right?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so liquidity is how easy it is for you to buy and sell the assets.
Right.
So that's your basic thing for your liquidity.
Right. And what determines liquidity of an asset was my next
Ah,
question.
that comes the next one, right?
Oh,
So
yes.
there are a number of factors on which I would say liquidity is dependent upon, right?
Yeah.
But two of the important factors is, as what we have been speaking about also earlier,
Yeah.
and that is the first one is that the spread should be very tight.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
And the second one is that your order book volume should be pretty deep.
Right.
So everything which helps towards liquidity, which the market making will do, right? The different market makers are going to do, it will all be directed towards these two aspects. That is, how do I tighten the spread? How do
Yeah.
I increase the volume of my order book? So
Yes.
these are the two important facets I would say that liquidity is dependent upon.
Right. Okay, great. Minu, I think for the first episode, we have covered the basics
Yeah, yeah.
of the ecosystem players who are involved in a token.
Hmm,
It's not about
hmm,
just creating or issuing a token. It's just about all those ecosystem players that you just mentioned: the market maker, the exchange partners, the token
hmm,
issuer. It's about a healthy life of a token. How can you build a
exactly.
healthy life for a token, a long-term healthy life with market
Hmm,
making, tight
hmm,
spread, good volumes? So this
hmm.
constitutes the entire ecosystem, if I understand correctly, right?
Yeah. And I would say also like exchanges and the investors, right, who are also important cogs in the
Yeah.
ecosystem. Like
Yeah.
when you look at an investor, right,
Yeah.
if I'm an investor, I would like to invest my money in a liquid token, something
Yeah.
which has got a high liquidity potential, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And I would like to have confidence in that token. So if I take an example, right?
Yeah.
Let's say I come up with a new token, I put it out, list it onto a exchange,
Yeah.
and suddenly there's a big market, a big order to buy the token,
Okay.
and that exchange doesn't have sufficient amount of liquidity for that token. So what happens is the entire thing is wiped off, and it brings about a large, what should I say, a price swing, the volatility into the market. So
Wow.
what it results into is something called a slippage, which means that if I'm entering an order
Yeah.
into the market, right? If I'm entering an order, I am expecting a certain price that it should get executed at, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But because of this volatility and the slippage,
Yeah.
what happens is the actual price at which the token gets bought or sold is very
Yeah.
different.
Different.
So that is a liquidity problem. So
Right.
and that kind of shakes the confidence of the token. So investors would be very wary of that.
Right.
So that's another thing that I think we missed out when we were talking about the different stakeholders, and I wanted to
Yes.
put it across. But
I
yeah,
think
very rightly summarized.
Great, great. So I think for first episode, I think we have covered most of the basics of the market making strategies. I think as we go forward, we're going to deep dive with presentations, go and look at a live scenario of a token. Like, we can just go and see the buy sell orders so that
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
much more
yeah.
clearer, like what they see,
Hmm.
what they understand,
Hmm.
of
Yeah.
what we're speaking. So
Hmm.
thank you so much, Minu. I think we've done a great job with our first episode.
Thank you. Thanks, Sunny. And I think what we can do in the next episode is to take over the actual thing of what the market making makers are doing, the role of the market makers then.
Yeah.
And then we get on to different things like your AMMs and more stuff later on. Good.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, the bots as well coming up soon. The artificial AI algorithmic bots.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. 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 That's right.
Thank you, thank you. Great, great. I had a great time. My sort of fundamentals about how to put it, market making got a refreshed by
Glad,
listening
glad
by
to do that.
listening and discussing with you as well. I do
Mm,
obviously come across these kind of
mm,
situations where I'm talking to a client, I'm trying to explain them how to
mm.
make their spreads tighter, how to keep the volumes. We have a minimum volume like we set on our exchange
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
longevity of a token, for a long life of a token is very
Yeah.
important. So yeah, but by speaking with you, all these are getting refreshed, so which is good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good thing to do, right? We always go back to our basics whenever something comes up, right?
Yes, yes, yes. Great.
That's right.
Awesome, awesome, Minu. And yes, thank you, viewers, for those questions. We will. This is our first episode, but the kind of comments, questions we have, which is very little high, sort of advanced stage questions that I see coming from our audience. We're gonna take that on our forthcoming episodes. For now, thank you so much, Minu. Again, thanks for your time. And I just want to wrap up the show by yeah. So, viewers, I'll be back again on next Wednesday, same time. It's 9:30 a.m. UK time and 4:30 p.m. Singapore time. Market making insights with Minu Sareen. So please stay tuned. If you are a token owner, and investors who are looking to invest into liquid tokens, please stay tuned. And more coming from this episode. And till then, take care of yourself. Bye, Minu, and see you around.
Thank you, Sunny. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
viewers. Cheers.
Cheers. Bye.